I've always been fascinated by storytelling and the characters that we create and these worlds that we can escape into. We're not guaranteed a single day in this life, and if there's something that we want to do, it's time to do it now. Carve out the time to do it now. Make it work, even if it's hard, even if you don't know what you're doing. Find a way and figure it out.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Guiding Light. I'm Jenna Carson.
I'm Sierra Larson.
And today we are so grateful to be joined by the one and only Libby Tanner. Libby, thank you for being here with us today.
It's a delight to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Libby Tanner grew up in a small town in Northern California that would be quaint and charming in a fictional novel, but felt small and suffocating as a teenager. She left as fast as she could, and she also misses it very much. In college, Libby earned a degree in communications. She wishes she would have studied creative writing instead of playing it safe, but also remembers she had student loans to pay off. Libby writes the kind of books you read in the bath while eating cookies straight from the box. Her Ciao Bella series focuses on first love, strong friendships, and following your dreams in the glamorous city of Milan, Italy. She is the mother of 4 children and married to a wonderful husband. Her dream date would be eating crab legs in a hot air balloon over a vineyard. Libby, what a fun bio. And I just get the sense that you are an upbeat, light, fun person, and you love to write books that bring joy into people's lives. Is that correct?
Well, thank you. I hope it's correct. I'd like to be. I do try to write books that add something beautiful and uplifting to the world. And I have a good time writing them. I've gotten some positive feedback about the first one, but I hope that they are adding a little more beauty and a little more light to the world.
I'm sure that they are. So, Libby, what led you to become a writer in the first place? It sounds like it's always been a passion of yours, but tell us a little bit about your road to this creative practice.
Sure. I have loved stories since I was a kid, and I would tell stories to my parents and siblings when I was old enough to write. I would write them down in notebooks and leave them all over the house. I've always been fascinated by storytelling and the characters that we create and these worlds that we can escape into. In high school, did a lot of writing, creative writing classes, and I think I got to college and I just got cold feet. All of a sudden I was an adult and I needed to learn some hireable skills, and the life of a writer is not financially guaranteed in any way. And so I played it safe and I got a degree in public relations, which I love and has served me well. But I always had a heart that wanted to write. And when I was a stay-at-home mom, I had 4 little kids. And I think it's really easy in that phase of life to feel like a dairy cow whose brain forgot how to work anymore. And I really needed something to keep me sane. I really needed something to keep my brain alive. So I started writing after bedtime. And I had always had this story in my head. The year after my freshman year of college, I had the chance to live in Milan, Italy as a nanny. And it was a transformational experience for me. I think it's one of those things where just an experience catches you at the right time in your life where you're open to a lot of new things. And during this year, I met an amazing group of friends. I learned so much about myself and what I wanted, and I fell in love for the first time. And it was magical and exciting and all of the wonderful things. So I always thought that would be fun to write a book. That would be a fun story to tell. The background is just fantastic. And we went out dancing every Wednesday night. And we, traveled around to Switzerland and London and a lot of places in Italy. And I was like, oh, this is a fun story. But life, you have these ideas in your head, but you also have a sink full of dishes and laundry piling up. So it's not easy to make the time even for the things that you love and are passionate about. So it took a lot of years. It took an embarrassing number of years for me to say, I love writing and this is what I'm going to do. And I have no idea how this is going to go, but I'm going to sit down and write. So I wrote every night after bedtime, and slowly the manuscript came together.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah.
And what gave you the courage to keep going? Because as you and I spoke before we started recording, we were talking about how hard publishing is. So what gave you the grit to keep at it?
So this is not something that I normally share as part of my writing journey, but it really was the catalyst. I have an older sister who passed away 5 years ago. And through a fluke, her oldest daughter sent me a page from her journal. I'd sent her a birthday gift, and she'd written some nice things about it in her journal, and my niece had sent it to me. And I read that, and on the flip side, my sister talked about how she was turning 50 soon, but she still had so many things she wanted to do, and how she wanted to travel the world, and how she wanted to write a book. And a few weeks after this journal entry, she was gone. And she never got the chance to do some of those things. And that was a big wake-up call to me. We're not guaranteed a single day in this life. And if there's something that we want to do, it's time to do it now. And even if we feel scared, even if it feels very uncertain, even if we're like 99% certain that it will not be successful, that we will fall flat on our faces, we have to do it. We have to follow this dream that we have in our heart, because there are no guarantees. And the last thing we want to do is leave this life with a heart full of regrets for the things we didn't do. So that experience and that knowledge of my sister and the things that she hopes to do but never got to do has really been an inspiration for me to say, do it now. Carve out the time to do it now. Make it work, even if it's hard, even if you don't know what you're doing. I had no idea what I was doing when I wrote my first book. Find a way and figure it out.
Absolutely. I love that. I always say, like, do it bad. Just do it.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. How did you, I don't know if this was ever a concern of yours, but do you feel like you had to overcome some like perfectionism or anything to just start? Or like, was it just natural? I know some people kind of struggle with that. Was that your situation or?
That's a really good question. And I believe that is something that a lot of artists in any field struggle with, is perfectionism. And it worked to my advantage that the idea of this thing getting published was so far-fetched. I was literally like typing while nursing, and then also like giving directions to a kid to like clean things up. Like, it seemed so impossible that this book would ever see the light of day that I just wrote to get the story out, and I was really writing for me. And I think that helped get out of my head and just get the story down on paper. Like I mentioned, I did not know what I was doing. I didn't understand about pacing and character arcs. So my first version of the story was, I think, 150,000 words. That's a lot for a rom-com. Most rom-coms are like 80,000. So this was nearly double. I just put in everything. And once I got that very bad version, I mean, very bad. I for some reason, in going back afterwards, I'm like, why did I think that was important? But like, I included like every time she was brushing her teeth before she went to bed. I'm like, no, I can't just have her go to bed. Like, dental hygiene is important. Like, I need to mention that she brushes her teeth. And then afterwards, you're like, no, it's just the highlights. You don't have to put in everything your character's doing. We're just grabbing highlights here. So I did a lot of trimming. I had a good group of beta readers, my two best friends, that did a great job reading all 150,000 words of this. And then it was at that point, once I had it, that it felt like, oh, okay, maybe I can do something here. And then that's when I would say perfectionism, but a little more, okay, let's make this good. Let's shape this up. Let's trim it down. Let's pull out the story here. But my first version was very bad. And I didn't even know how bad it was while I was writing. I was just excited. I was just on fire and typing and reliving this magical time in my life. And then afterwards, I could be like, oh, okay, well, I got the story done. It's not good, but I think we have something good here. And that was all I needed to get it in shape.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so important for writers to know, is that the first draft is, I mean, I'm sure there are some masters who can write great first drafts, but for the majority,
I
for
don't
the
think so.
majority of
I
us,
feel like even the masters are terrible
right,
at the beginning.
right. Like I wonder about Stephen King and J.K. Rowling. I'm like, how much editing did their drafts have to go through? But for mere mortals, it's a lot of editing and a lot of drafts.
It is.
I
Uh,
always say, write that crappy first draft, and that kind of gives me permission just to get it on the page. So I love that you share
exactly. You
that.
have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's better to have a terrible first draft than a perfect draft in your head.
Exactly. Yes. Well, you shared this very vulnerable and sad loss of your sister. Thank you for sharing that, and how that really motivated you to do this hard work, to get that draft done, to keep going. And now you're passionate about helping others write their stories. Tell us more about that and how you do that.
Well, I noticed something. I noticed that I was not the only woman who reached a certain point in her life and discovered that she had spent most of the last decade or more caring for the people around her without really acknowledging her own needs and desires. And I have a best friend who lives in Oregon, and she was out with a bunch of ladies, a group of 8 or so ladies out to dinner, and she was talking to them about her best friend in Florida who was on fire with writing and was talking nonstop about characters and plot holes and all these things. And the feeling and the vibe from these women, her friends, was envy. And this was not because of a book deal. This was pre-book deal, pre-literary agent. They were just envious because this woman had something that she loved and was pursuing. And the comments from my friends' companions were, wow, like I would love to get back into painting. And one woman said, I don't even know what I would do if I had time to do things. And my friend recounted this conversation to me, and it stuck in my head. It stuck in my head as a very common situation, I think, especially for women, where we feel like we would love to pursue something, maybe something that we loved when we were younger, and then we've stepped away from it from a couple of decades. Or maybe it's been so long that we've even thought about putting our needs first, putting our needs front and center in our lives, that we have no idea what it is that we would pursue. So my publisher wanted me to start a newsletter, right? Because authors have newsletters and they talk about, here's what I'm working on now, and here's when this book comes out, and here's, these events I'm doing. And I felt like I love newsletters. I like writing letters a lot more than I like social media. So I was like, yep, I'm on board. But I don't want to just talk about me and my writing. Like, people can get that on my website or on Instagram. So I created a newsletter that's called Write Your Own Story. And it is focused on providing motivational examples and practical tips for identifying, pursuing, and chasing your dream. Whether that is writing a novel or opening a restaurant or starting a Spice Girls tribute band, there's no judgment. What you have in your heart deserves time and attention and energy. And I've got to say, the response has been surprising. The response has been amazing. I've had women reach out to share the things that they're working on, to share dreams that they gave up when they were teenagers that now they've started doing again, and also share some of the obstacles. Logistically, it is hard. Women, in many cases, are running the show at their jobs, in their households. Lots of times we're caring for parents. Sometimes we're caring for parents and kids. And it is logistically hard to find time for us to pursue the things that are important to us. But there are ways to create systems, and there are ways to set up a day-to-day routine that will facilitate you taking time for yourself to do the things you love. But it starts with that belief that what I want and what brings me joy is worth pursuing. And sometimes that can be a real obstacle for women, just to acknowledge that, oh, there's something in me outside of the regular things I'm doing. There's something else in me that I want to explore. And I deserve to explore that.
Absolutely. I love that. I think so many times we get caught up, we as women get caught up in this kind of like female archetype that women can't do anything other than serve other people, or they need to put their own needs and their own dreams on the back burner so that, you know, they can do other things. And I love that you're calling attention to the fact that it is not how it has to be, that we can do anything. We can still love our families, love our job, love our career, love all of these things and serve out all of these things, and have boundaries and make time for the things that we like and we enjoy, because that's what makes us us. And it would be sad and hard to lose, you know, that piece of us that has a purpose and has desires and dreams. So I love that you're inspiring women to continue to follow their dreams in that way.
Well, and I think it's important to understand and break through some myths that as we pursue those things, we can let go of the guilt we may feel by doing something just for ourselves. Lots of women feel it's selfish to spend time and money and energy on themselves. But I've done a fair amount of research. And when we are in this state of flow where we're excited about what we're doing, it lights us up in a way that makes us better moms, better wives, better friends and coworkers. When we are like setting these goals and knocking them out of the park, it boosts our self-esteem. It creates an upward spiral. When we are collaborating with people in our field, we're creating community and fellowship that we didn't have before. Like, the positive effects of women going after the things they love are incredible. And they benefit not just the women themselves, but everybody in their circle. And that's, I think, a part of it that a lot of women are missing. They don't understand that this will be something wonderful that you do for you, but also that you do for all the people in your life, that it will affect every relationship in a powerful and positive way.
I love that. I love that. And there's also value in happiness, like, period. I'm reading this really interesting memoir that I'm sort of having a hard time with because it's actually very anti-marriage. It's called This American Ex-Wife: How I Ended My Marriage and Started My Life by Liz Lenz. And the reason she's so anti-marriage, pro-divorce, is because she argues that so many women are in these marriages where they're not happy and they're doing all the work. Their husbands aren't helping. She's talking about heterosexual marriages, how women just have this lion's share of the work and they're exhausted and burned out and they can't chase their dreams. They can't find time. And so it's interesting hearing you talk, because you're saying we can have a marriage and a happy marriage and we can follow our dreams. But I also just want to point out the tension sometimes that patriarchy has put upon us in this society, this sort of myth that women can do it all and have it all, when in reality there are limits on our time. So bring us, as you are bringing this light and positivity, what would your counter to Liz Lenz be when she's saying, well, you just need to leave these unhappy marriages to get back your time, what are you arguing that women can do now? I mean, you talked about schedules and systems, but how does that work practically? And how might listeners who are hearing this and maybe in a marriage where it feels maybe even your partner gives you guilt for taking time. Sorry, this is dumping a lot on you.
No, I appreciate you bringing this up because it is a very real issue. And I haven't read that memoir, but I absolutely see where she is coming from. And I can absolutely see why for so many women it would feel like if you want to be happy and if you want to pursue your dream, you have to break free of this marriage that is holding you back. I can really understand how it would feel that way to some people. I would be delighted to offer a counterpoint because I feel like I am a living example of how it does not have to be that way. Now, I never want to be a person that says women can have it all. I feel like that puts so much pressure on us that we have to have it all. In fact, I heard a comedian recently talking about this idea that like women can have it all. And it's like, that's not a good thing. Have you ever walked away from a all you can eat buffet feeling good about yourself? Like, yay, I had it all. And I feel like when we try to have it all, we burn out really fast. So one of the books that has really guided this journey is Essentialism by Greg McKeown. And he really talks about letting go of the things that do not lead us or help us accomplish our most meaningful work. So instead of trying to have it all by being the soccer coach and the PTA president and the field trip mom and also write a best-selling novel, choose one priority. And that's not plural. Like he mentions that priority was singular for hundreds of years. And then we just recently threw an S on there and made it priorities, which is contrary to the meaning of that word, which is the one and highest thing. So we say, here are 10 priorities. No, that's not a thing that can exist. We can't have 10 priorities without going crazy. So the first thing that I would recommend is streamlining your life and pick up a copy of Essentialism. It's a very exciting read. And I read it maybe a decade ago, and then I just reread it a couple weeks ago. I'll tell you, the first time I read it, for the next month, I was saying no to everyone, and it felt amazing. Can you? No, can't. Would you be able? No. Mm-mm. And it felt so good. It felt like taking my life back. So you mentioned boundaries, Jenna, and I think that really is the key to helping women create the space for themselves to be able to pursue what it is that's important to them. And that means boundaries with your work. There's a lot of women who do a lot of extra things at work that they're staying behind or volunteering for extra things. So setting boundaries in your work, setting boundaries at home and with your marriage. It's hard. Like it's a tough conversation to have, but it's an important one. And I think a healthy one, because I'll tell you what, my husband, and this felt a little bit sad at the time, but now I laugh at it. My husband saw me typing one night and I was giggling to myself. That was a funny scene. I do a lot of giggling while I'm writing. And he looked over at me and he said, I have not seen you this happy in a long time. And I think he meant it as a compliment, but whoosh, the mom guilt that washed over me because I felt like, why aren't my kids making me this happy? Why isn't my marriage making me this happy? Why is this own separate thing that I'm doing the thing that's making me so happy that I haven't been this happy in a long time? Now, I was nursing and sleep deprived and like life was dark. Those were dark times for me. Just a lot of scraping food off the floor and changing diapers, which is not fun. But I think that it is unfair to put our joy in the hands of our children or our husband and expect them to carry that weight for us, that you need to make us joyful, that you need to be providing happiness in our lives. When, if we love and serve and take care of these people that are important in our lives, while also setting boundaries for ourselves, we can explore the things that bring us joy. and they're off the hook for carrying the weight of our emotions on them. And we are lit up with this happiness that we've found and we can explore. So I would say, if you have a happy marriage, don't leave it. If you have an unhappy marriage, that's another conversation. But if you have a marriage where you feel happy with your partner, but you feel maybe suffocated or trapped or constrained, limited because of the things that you need to do to run your house or do your job, then that's something that you need to have a conversation about. I had this conversation with my husband maybe 5 years ago, and I don't even like to bring this up because he's kind of a unicorn, and I don't want to make other women feel awful about their husbands. I had a great conversation with him where I said, I need more time to do the things that are important to me. And he said, okay, what would that look like? He's a very practical guy. He's an accountant, very practical guy. And he said, well, maybe I can come home early on Thursdays. Maybe I can get home by noon on Thursdays and you can have Thursday afternoons. And I said, okay, let's try that. And that worked for a little while. And then, busy season hit and it all fell apart and he's working late hours and stuff. But we tried different things to help me find the time I needed to do this. And I was not saying I need 3 months away in Ireland to do a writing retreat. I was saying I need a couple of hours a week in an afternoon to get done the things I need to do. I think a lot of women would be surprised at how open their partners are to helping them explore this thing that is bringing them so much joy and happiness, because these people love us and they love to see us lit up and shining and excited about this. And also, I think that they have a pretty good understanding of how much we do around the house, around with the kids, managing things. And I think that they are oftentimes looking for ways to lift that burden and help us, but they don't know how. So I would say communicate and set some great boundaries, enjoy an awesome marriage, and enjoy your own creative pursuits.
I love
Thank you so
that.
much for sharing that. Thank you. Yeah, and
I was a lot.
I think if I just really appreciate your perspective, and I think I feel bad. I want to clarify. I wasn't meaning to trample on Liz Lenz's work. Just to say that, I think we've got to consider lots of different experiences people have in marriage. So I appreciate you sharing your positive experience of your husband who saw you and heard you and was willing to brainstorm solutions with you. And I think that if other women would have gotten more of that earlier on, I think, there would be a lot more happy marriages. So thank you for sharing that.
And I will just say, that's a conversation you need to have more than once.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like, I talked to my husband. He was like, yes, wonderful.
Yeah.
I'll do all the things.
Yeah.
You have to have it and say, okay, this is what it looks like now. This is what I'm needing now. The birthday present that my husband gets me every year, because buying gifts for your wife can be hard sometimes and you don't know. So we've settled on, for my birthday each year, please watch our kids for 3 days while I go off on a writing retreat for myself. And that's his gift to me. And it's an awesome one. And he feels great because he's off the hook trying to find some amazing thing to show his wife how much he loves her. And I said, this is what I would really like. So we've had conversations, many of them. And as my needs change, then we have more conversations. And also there, conversations that he has about, about what, how he feels about this. There are two sides to it, and you don't ever want to feel like you're leaving your partner behind. So have the conversation and then have it again. And then a month later, have it again until you can find this good equilibrium where both of you feel happy and fulfilled.
Yeah. And I think that's so fair. I do marriage counseling, so I've seen a lot of situations where that can be kind of sad, where those needs aren't communicated until it's too late and they're just kind of out the door. And the husband or the partner is just like, I totally would have done something. I just didn't know. I didn't know that that's how you felt. I didn't know that you were burnt out. And that's not that's not always the case. Like, it's not always fair to just say, like, you see your, partner kind of stressed, you should probably ask, that's not totally on them. But I think it's also really important, like you're saying, is just to communicate that and have an open dialogue, an open conversation about how you're feeling. And I think there's also understanding that you can be married and be fulfilled in the things that you want. You just have to ask for it, or not ask for it, not like permission, but just communicate the need and set boundaries, exactly like you're saying. One of the things that I have a unicorn husband too, and he's incredible. And he's just always, what can I do? How can I serve? How can I help you? You need this, go take it. Like, go away, go do your podcast, go write, go do whatever you need. And it's so amazing. So I think when you can find that dynamic in your relationship, like you said, I think men are a lot more willing than we think to give us that time because they love and care for us. So absolutely.
Yeah. And I would say, just like a first draft, this doesn't have to be perfect. Like, it doesn't, you might have a hard time expressing what you need. You might have a hard time articulating how you're feeling. And I feel like the first time this came up, after I'd been thinking about it for a month, and then I finally talked to my husband about it, I was a weepy, inarticulate mess. I was blubbering about how he got to pursue his dream and I never got to pursue my dream. And we have 4 beautiful children and I love them, but I never even got a chance to try. And he's like, I'm an accountant. I have no dreams. They all died a long time ago. But I'm like, but at least you got to do something and try. So it was a little bit of a mess. And I was just like some verbal vomit trying to get out these really heavy feelings that I had. But then we got to the other side of it. And then the next, it was like, okay, so here's what it meant when I said this. And you have to start somewhere, even if you don't even know what you need, even if you don't know what to ask for, just start somewhere. Just have that first little conversation and then let that lead to more conversations.
Absolutely. I know we talked a little bit about, the dynamic within our relationships as a partner, as maybe a mom, or even if someone's not in a relationship and is still finding it difficult to pursue their dreams. I've been thinking a lot about actually so they call it, there's the 9 to 5 and then there's the 5 to 9. And that's what it sounds like you were doing, is working the 5 to 9. Can you just talk a little bit more
Yes.
about like finding time to pursue the dreams, like systems and practical
Yes. Okay.
things that people can do to start today, to start following their dreams?
I'm so glad you asked. So I had the opportunity to present a workshop at the Riverview Library, which is an amazing public library in my area. And it was really great because it gave me a chance to put all of these ideas and things that I've been talking about and writing ledgers about for a year into some very practical tips. And I should have pulled that presentation up to work with right now. But there are some things that we can do, just that you can get started to do right now. So first one, identify what it is that you're trying to do and be very specific. The more clear you are about what the dream is that you want, the easier it will be to get there. So it's important, I think, to decide between, I want to learn ballroom dancing and I want to compete on the regional ballroom dance team. I want to write, or I want to be on the bestsellers list. Sometimes we just want to pursue this passion. Other times we're looking for a specific marker of success, and either one's fine. Like, no judgments, but figure out what success will look like to you, what it is you're really wanting. Once you've identified that, then come up with and most of us know some things we could do to move in that direction. So come up with some things that would get you closer to that goal. Don't worry if they are things that feels like you could never do. Don't worry if they're like, oh, I will never have the time for this, or I don't even know anybody. Just write down, these are some things that would help me get from A to B. And have these be things that are in your own control, right? Maybe your goals are really health motivated. So let's talk about things that you can do to improve your health, and write those things down. Now, Atomic Habits is another book that I love with all of my heart. And James Clear ruined goals for me in the very best way, because he says, and I agree, that it's not goals that determine our success, right? And that makes sense when you think about that an Olympic gold medalist and an Olympic silver medalist had the same goal. What sets them apart is the systems that they use. And that's what I love, is creating systems that will help you get where you want to go. And when you put systems in place in your life, I like to think of it as a snowplow that is just plowing through all of the obstacles that are keeping you from doing the thing you want to do. So maybe some of those obstacles are time. Maybe it's low motivation. Maybe there are some logistical concerns or childcare. Figure out what those obstacles are, and then we design systems that clear those out of our way, giving us a straight path to what it is we want to do. An example of this would be, let's say that you want to get healthy. You want to get in better shape. Maybe you want to lose weight. And so you have a goal. I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week. That's great. What are you doing? And that goal will surely help you get in shape. But what are you doing to help you get to the gym, to help you reach that goal? Some ideas might look like, I'm putting my gym clothes in my car so I can stop at the gym on my way home from work. Or I'm teaching one of my kids how to cook dinner, simple weeknight dinners, so that they can have dinner going by the time I come home from the gym. Or maybe I'm reaching out to an accountability buddy who I know always goes to the gym, and I'm saying, I'll meet you there at 5:15, 3 days a week. So these are the systems that help us achieve the goal. And if you set them up, it actually becomes a lot easier than you think, right? You don't have to muster up the willpower every time I come home, and then I've got to get my gym clothes, and then I got to go there. Just like I'm going straight from work to the gym, I already have that system in place. And a great tip that James Clear has that I love is something he calls habit stacking. So new habits are very hard to start. And I have tried to put certain habits in place and have failed at them, because sometimes the trigger is very vague. Like, I'm going to meditate in the morning sometime. And sometimes we don't have a very clear strategy for how we're going to do that. So James Clear talks about taking habits that you already have, that you're already doing consistently, and then stacking a new habit on top of it. So if you say, I'm going to meditate for 2 minutes after I brush my teeth every day, that's going to help you form that new habit of meditation, because you are always brushing your teeth. It's always going to happen. I will tell you, a couple of years ago, I had a goal to read scriptures or a religious book every single day. And the mornings were always really crazy with kids and stuff. And then by evening time, when I was like crawling into bed, I did not want to read scriptures. I wanted to watch Netflix. So that goal did not gain any traction at all in my life until I looked at the habits that I do consistently. And I found that I never miss breakfast. I am a hungry person. I wake up hungry, and I never skip breakfast. So once I started stacking this habit of reading scriptures with my breakfast, I don't miss. I eat my cereal, I read my Bible, and I am like, the guilt of not doing the thing that I'm trying to do has just gone. And this self-confidence and excitement for just knocking it out of the park every day, reading these scriptures, has carried over to other aspects of my life. So that is something that I swear by, is habit stacking, right? Get those habits in there. And then we talked about essentialism a little bit earlier, and it's all well and good to be like, okay, I know these goals I want to do. I'm setting up these systems that's going to help me get there, and I'm stacking them with habits so that I'm really consistent about them. But how do we actually make time for those things in our life? That's the number one thing I hear from people when I talk to them about their goals that they're pursuing, is like, oh yeah, well, if I had the time. oh, I just don't have the time. There never seems to be enough time. So this is when essentialism comes in. And if you have commitments that you have made that are not helping you do the things you want to do in your life, you gotta let them go. You gotta let them go. And it would be an easy decision if we were deciding between good things and super lame things, right? Then it's like, okay, just choose the good thing. That's easy. But in our life, we're choosing between good things and other good things. Like, it is a good thing to be the president of the PTA. It's a good thing to join your neighborhood HOA. But if they are not the best thing for you, you got to let them go. You got to walk away from those opportunities. And Greg McEwen puts it really clearly when he says, when you are saying no to other people's commitments for you, you are saying yes to your own plans and to your meaningful work. And I love looking at it that way. There's a lot of things that we do that we give our time over to other people without even noticing. And one of those big things is notifications, email, and phone time. So much to the annoyance of my friends and family, I leave my phone on Do Not Disturb all day long. And I leave it in the charger. And I go when I'm between projects, when I have a good flow in my routine, I check my phone and I see what's come in and see what I need to respond to. But I don't let that phone dictate what I'm doing with my morning. I don't let it throw off my routine. I think a lot of us have had the experience where you're working on something and then an email comes in and this person has a problem. And within seconds, you have dropped your thing and you're working on their thing. And just like that, this person has reprioritized your day. And I wouldn't give that power to anybody. I would hold on to that power. So I'm really strict about notifications for myself. And I keep my phone in a spot where it's not bothering me. And I use it only when I decide to check in and see what's going on. So those are some things that I feel like are really practical ideas for creating the time and space we need to do the things that we want to do. I will say another important part is kind of figuring out your own rhythms when you are feeling at your best to pursue these things. So for a lot of time, I wrote after bedtime because that was the time I had. But I am not a night owl. I feel like my brain turns off at like 9:30. And for me, it has worked so much better to write in the morning. And so every morning I wake up at 7 o'clock. I wake up a little before and I write from 7 to 9. And I'm not checking email. Like, I don't do anything else. I don't read the news. I don't check email. I don't check my phone. I dive straight into this. And I work for those 2 hours and get all of my creative ideas out. It is just like this magical time for me. It goes by so fast every day. And then recently, probably a year, actually, probably closer to 2 years ago, I talked to my kids about afternoon writing sessions and said, okay, mom's going to write upstairs in the office from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And this is a time that is not to be interrupted. So at 1:45, I talked to all my kids, okay, I'm going up in 15 minutes. Is there anything you need from me? Do you have any questions? And this is the time when they say, okay, when I finish doing my family contribution, can I go play at my friend's house? And I say, yes, you sure can. I homeschool all 4 of my kids. We do school at home. So they are really looking forward to a 2 o'clock writing session. We've spent all day together at this point, and they're like, yes, mom, that's great. Go, right. So I have that working in my favor. By the time 2 o'clock rolls around, my kids are sick of me and they're ready to be on their own for a little while. But I did not think the 2 to 4 writing session would work. I was just like, you're a mom. Everybody needs you. Even if your dad is sitting on the couch, they will walk past him to go find mom and find out where the cereal they like is, you know? So even like with kids, just set these boundaries and say, this is mom's time. It needs to be uninterrupted. And now it's funny. I've had people will show up, like a neighbor will drop by and I hear my youngest, who's 7, be like, I'm sorry, my mom can't see you. This is her writing time and it's uninterrupted. So my kids are already setting those boundaries for me. But just those things, some of them feel like simple. It's like, okay, I could do this. Some of them feel like a stretch. It's like, I'm going to try afternoon writing session. I don't know how it's going to go. And it actually blew me away at how successful that has been, that my kids have really respected that time. And it's been really productive and exciting for me to do.
These tools and concrete examples are invaluable. Thank you, Libby. Wow, I feel like I just gathered a wealth of knowledge. And I've read both Essentialism and Atomic Habits and forgotten a lot of the main things. So thank you for the very good overview. Time to reread them. And I love how you've been able to set up these boundaries and protect your time and have joy in motherhood and marriage and writing and many different areas of your life. I do have to ask, logistically, do you eat your breakfast before your 7 a.m. writing session or after?
I'll tell you, this is the opposite. I write in, and I have a little box of these like breakfast bars. Because here's the thing, if I'm down eating breakfast, like, they'll find me. The kids find me, and then it's game over. So I literally am sneaking like a ninja with my computer upstairs to my office, and then I write and I eat one of my breakfast bars because I'm just so hungry. I sing in the morning, and then after at 9 o'clock I go down and I have a bowl of cereal. I'm hungry again by 9. I have a bowl of cereal and I read my Bible.
Oh, that's really beautiful.
Sometimes if I'm on it, I'll make up a bunch of smoothies. I really love smoothies. And I'll make up a bunch of smoothies the week before, and I'll have those in the freezer so I can grab one of those and eat some smoothie while I'm writing in the morning. But you're right, I do need something, and I just take that with me upstairs.
That is so helpful to know. I know that may seem like a silly question, but as a writer myself, I'm always like, I've got to eat first thing. But if I start writing first thing, that's when the magic happens. So these little details
and
matter.
These are the details that get us caught up, right? And you gotta figure it out. I learned fast. I do not write well hungry. All of my characters kept getting in fights. I'm like, you guys are a happily dating couple, but they were bickering. So it's like, no. I need to get some food in me before I start writing. But then, you can't make yourself scrambled eggs in the kitchen where anybody can pounce on you and then your time's over. So you gotta be sneaky about it sometimes.
How old are your kiddos?
Let's see, my oldest is 13. And then I have a just turned 12. So 13, 12, 10, and 7.
Amazing.
Yeah, they're a good group. And I'll tell you what, this is another thing that has been really awesome about this writing journey. All of my kids are readers. They love reading, and we just go through books so fast. They love reading. So to them, a published author is as cool as Taylor Swift. They think that I am amazing. I have so much street cred with these people. They are so excited about it. My daughter had a t-shirt made by one of her friends at school that says, "My favorite author is my mom." And she came home one day wearing it as a surprise for me. My kids are constantly trying to sell my books to people. Like, they're telling the lady at Qdoba about the plot of Better Than Gelato, my debut novel. We had an awkward experience this summer where we were staying at a resort, and there's a bunch of us in the hot tub. And then my 12-year-old daughter says, like, so casually, "So, do any of you read rom-coms?" And I'm like, "No, Annabelle, back off. This is not the time for that." But they are so proud of me, and they are singing my praises to anybody who will listen. And I didn't know how good that would feel. I didn't expect that, like, euphoria that comes from being like, my kids think I'm awesome. And I also love that, like, my kids see me hustling. They see me working really hard for this. They see me taking care of my family and taking care of my other commitment. But then they see me going upstairs and writing, and they see me, going to bookstores for signing events and doing things. And especially for my daughters, I love that. I love that they have an example of somebody who's, didn't publish a book till she turned 41, but is doing the thing that she loves. I think that that's an important example for them.
I'm not surprised that they adore you and love to sing your praises and promote your work because you are such a light.
If we could just have one more moment of your time, I'm a huge fan of Better Than Gelato. Can I just
Of course.
say, like,
You're so sweet, Sierra.
I have the audiobook on Audible, and I just like, it's like my comfort book.
How great is that
Oh, she's
narrator?
amazing. It's just, well, she's amazing, but like, Libby, you wrote an amazing book. Like, you wrote an
thank
amazing
you.
book. And I didn't realize it was a series. So there's more.
There is, and I'll tell you what, I definitely wrote it as a one-off. I was like not thinking of it as a series, but when I signed with my publisher, they said, would you consider doing a series for this? And I was like, not really, I don't think so. But then the idea kind of stuck in my head, and the more I thought about it, the more I felt like this actually lends itself to a series very well, because the Rossi family that lives in Milan, they got a new nanny every single year. And when I was there, I think I was nanny number 6. And then they just had nannies every year after that until the little girl Isabella was, I think, 13. So after I thought about it for a little while, then I said, oh, I have some ideas. So book number 2 in this series is called Bigger Than Versace. And it is about the next nanny that comes to the Rossi household in Milan and her adventures and her love story. And I will actually tell you something kind of funny if we have just a second more. I was really sold on this title, Bigger Than Versace. Our new main character, Lydia St. Clair, is an aspiring fashion designer. And Marco Rossi, the dad of this family, is a fashion designer. So she wiggles her way into an internship at his design studio, and it's a really fun read. But I was really loving this title, Bigger Than Versace. My publisher was nervous. They did not feel great about having the designer name Versace in the title, and they asked me to think of alternative titles. And I harassed friends and family for weeks trying to come up with all these other things, and nothing fit. I couldn't find anything that I liked as well that went with the other books in the series and that captured the story. So they said, okay, we're going to reach out to Versace and see if we can get their permission to use their name in the title. And I said, okay. And then we got the response back, and it was so unexpected. What they said was, we'd like to read the book. So it's like, oh, okay. So the publisher, my editor hadn't even gone through the manuscript yet. I had gone through this manuscript a lot, so it was clean, but my editor hadn't even gone through the whole thing. And we sent this manuscript off to somebody at Versace, and apparently they liked it because they came back and said, yes, you can absolutely use our name in your title.
That is so cool.
So that felt really fun, and I'm so happy because I just feel like, oh no, that's the title it needs.
I'm
Wow.
speechless. Thank you so much for that.
That's so cool.
I'm so excited. That's awesome.
So that comes out next June 2026. Yes.
Amazing.
That will be fun.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I've got to go buy Better Than Gelato so I can get started.
Okay, I think it's actually on, just for November, I think it's on Kindle Unlimited right now.
Okay.
If you have it Kindle Unlimited. And then otherwise you can buy it anywhere. It's got paperback or ebook or audiobook. I feel like the narrator, she did such a good job on that if you like audiobooks. Yeah.
Absolutely. And where can listeners follow you, pre-order Better Than Versace? Like, where can we find all of the things?
Sure. So I have a website, libbytannerauthor.com, and I post some things on there. I'm also on Instagram at Libby Tanner Author and Facebook. And then if you go to my website, you can sign up for Letters from Libby that come each week. And again, those aren't really about my writing journey as much as helping other women with their journeys. But sometimes I will put in there like, hey, I do give my newsletter people first dibs on things. Like when I open up for ARC readers, then I offer that to my newsletter people first. So you can sign up there too.
Great. Thanks again, Libby. We look forward to following you.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a wonderful conversation. I really enjoyed talking to both you ladies.
Well, we are so grateful for you. And to all our listeners, we encourage you to take one step to habit stack and focus on your priority in your life right now. I'm Jenna
I'm
Carson,
Sierra Larson.
and we hope you follow the peace.